I love how it does this already. And really, I had it set. And now it's going to do it again.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Is it tight?
There we go.
Okay,
Good
yeah,
deal.
There you go.
All right. Good morning from Houston. It's Cassandra Knight with Keller Williams, The Woodlands, and Magnolia. Jumping on to Knight's Round Table. This morning I have Dane with me, who is going to talk about fencing. His company is Curb Appeal of Texas, and we actually met through our B&I group. So take it away, Dane.
Hey guys, just wanted to tell you a little bit about how I got into fencing. Let me give you a little bit of background. So I started out in the car business. I used to sell cars, and from doing that, I went into finance. They said I did a good job selling cars, so now let's give you a shot doing financing. So in finance management, you have to work with intangibles, things that you can't touch or feel. And I guess when you get good at that, you kind of feel a little void, because then you want to actually have something to give these people that are spending lots of money with you and getting a piece of paper. So in that journey of 15 or 16 years, I kind of slowly started doing other business ventures, doing some handiwork around the house. One of them was doing my own fence. I'm on a corner lot, so when I did my fence, it was really just an activity to kind of get my daughters involved and just to kind of get out the house and just tell myself I could do something on the weekend that I have off of work. And I did such a good job with that, I guess, that my neighbors were asking me, hey, I didn't know you could build fences, and can you do mine? And I know a guy, and it just started going in the back of my head like, wow, I didn't know people were interested in this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept doing them just for neighbors and fellow family members, and then when the hurricane hit, business became booming. Yeah, I think everybody lost their fence.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, people started calling, so I went ahead and instead of doing on the side, went full time and did it 100%.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm doing now. Now, as far as to feed the family, I wanted to make sure I had two other services that we provided. One of them being tree trimming. So I've always trimmed all of my trees on my property, and I've always done neighbors' trees. So it was pretty easy segue to go from fencing to trees. So I've been doing that, and I've gotten into actually stump grinding and also tree removal. So
What is stump grinding? I don't even know what that is.
So a lot of times when someone has a tree that they want to have removed or just cut down,
Mm-hmm.
they're left with an ugly stump.
Yep.
So in order for you to get anything else done, like maybe cut your grass, you're going to have to get that stump grinded down to ground level.
Okay.
So you get a stump grinder, and it'll actually slowly cut down the rest of that tree all the way down to the ground, and now it looks a lot more appealing whenever you're getting your grass cut, or if you want to put a fence there.
That's
So,
true. Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Yeah, I never heard that term before, so that's good. Good to know.
Yeah. Now, also, we do pressure washing. So we got into the pressure washing just because every time we wanted to assess someone's fence, I would like to pressure wash it to get the nasty stuff off of the fence, and then they can see what they actually had.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of people don't know if they have cedar fences or pine fences. They don't really know, or if they're stained.
I definitely couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. It's a fence.
That's right. So I go ahead and pressure wash one or two of the panels, and then the color actually starts to come through.
Okay.
And you'd be surprised. A lot of times customers are like, oh, yeah, that's actually a beautiful color. I want the rest of my fence stained like that, or go ahead and give me cedar fence.
Okay.
So with that, we'll also offer pressure washing, because once a fence is done, it really enhances the curb appeal of their house, and being able to pressure wash their driveway, their sidewalk, maybe a piece of their house that looks kind of unappealing. We're able to be that guy. So
Okay. Good deal.
helps a whole lot, definitely. Now, I remember when I first started pressure washing, I told the customer, no problem, I can get it done. I had a rinky-dink, well, I mean, it looked nice, but it was only 3,000 PSI.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like you, I didn't know that PSI was anything to be important. I just said 3,000 sounds good. Sounds
Yeah.
like the most of all the other ones, so I bought that one. And I was out there in the heat of the sun pressure washing, and I maybe only got a section this big done,
Oh my
and that was about 30
gosh.
minutes. So I told the customer, I was like, give me a couple of minutes, let me go get another piece of equipment, and I'll be right back.
Mhm.
I went to Home Depot and I ordered the big boy pressure washer. So it's GPMs is what you need to know about pressure washing. Anyway,
Okay.
gallons per water flow.
Okay.
And if you have the proper gallons, then it can give you the pressure per square inch. So I went ahead and rented that and was able to get that same section done in maybe 5 seconds.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and invested in one for myself, and they're about $4,000 or $5,000. They're
Okay.
very expensive. That's what the difference was.
Absolutely.
Yes. But they're definitely worth their weight in gold. I wouldn't ask a customer or a homeowner to go out of their pockets and buy something that's $5,000 or $6,000. It would be better just to hire a professional to get it done. So I'm able to do that now efficiently. We also provide something called soft washing. Ask me what soft washing is.
I think we've talked about this because I had
Okay.
a realtor friend that needed a soft wash done, and I was
Oh,
like,
yes.
I know.
Yeah, so soft washing is it's a chemical reaction, okay? It happens on most people's roofs because of the trees. They drop some type of chemical onto your roof, and then it rains, and then now you have like a live mold, and it starts to turn your roof from that pretty gray to a black.
Okay.
So how do you get that off? You have to use a chemical treatment, pour it on top of the roof, let it stick, and then it just starts to eat away at all the nasty stuff that's on top of your roof that turned it black,
Mhm.
and then it starts to drip down and go away.
Okay.
So that process, it's usually about 2 or 3 hours, and not a lot of companies offer it because of the liability of the chemicals that fall off of the house. It gets onto the ground, onto their shrubbery or their pretty plants or beloved plants, and it turned into a nightmare. So before I offered it, I did the research and see how do you compensate or combat that.
Mhm.
And it's relatively simple process, but I do that process before I do any type of soft washing, and customers love it. They're
Okay.
happy with it, and something else that we provide. So,
Good deal.
absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't know. So, I didn't know that either. I didn't know. I've heard of soft washing, but I didn't know what it was. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. It's like a mold that grows on top of the roof.
Yes, it's like a mold that grows on top of the roof, and it turns the roof black.
Okay.
And to me, I would think, aren't roofs black anyway? It's something that you don't really notice a lot until you start looking for it.
Mhm.
And then once you see it without that black tint, you definitely want it. So it usually stems out from a homeowner had a friend who had it done,
Mhm.
or maybe they had like a drone and were flying their drone and noticed something unsightly on the roof, or maybe someone told them about it.
Okay.
And then they start doing their research, and they start seeing that this is actually a thing, and you want to get it taken care of. Because what people don't know is that that's usually why you have squirrels and rodents that are eating away at your roof. They're not eating your roof, they're eating that mold that grows on the roof.
Okay, so
that helps a lot.
Does the mold actually affect the actual roof besides animals eating it? Does it do damage to your roof tiles and things like that?
Yes, it's actually eating away at the stuff that holds the roof together.
Okay.
So now you're compromising the structural integrity of the roof. Those
Okay.
panels in themselves, if they continue to get that type of mold and stuff that's on top of it, it makes it to where it starts to degrade a lot. Your roof should usually last you about 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
But once you have that black mold on top of it, it won't last anywhere near that long, and of course it looks really bad. So getting it soft washed, it's relatively inexpensive, and it's definitely going to increase the life of your roof.
And how often do you usually see people have to do a soft wash on their roof?
Normally about 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
But again, we're in the Gulf Coast climate region. You have hot summers, high humidity, lots of rain. With rain, you have industrial fallout, and that's why people are having to get it done a little more sooner than they used to not have to. The climate's definitely changing, so we're seeing the stuff that falls from rain affecting your plants, affecting your soils, affecting your trees, and we're having to do new things to compensate for that we didn't really have to worry about living in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
Same thing with fencing.
Yeah. Definitely roofs and things like that are they don't last as long here as they do other places. Like back in Georgia, I feel like our roofs last a lot longer, and it's
Sure.
just because it's so hot here.
Yep.
Like, so I didn't even
Hot
think
roads.
about mold. That's
Mhm.
another thing I would have never thought, because mold is hot, humid, so it makes sense now that we've talked about it. But I would have never thought of that before.
It's a breeding ground, yeah.
That's crazy.
Definitely a breeding ground. And sometimes it's good that these things happen, because then it kind of weeds out your weakest link of your home or your process on how to make something stronger. So no one wishes a hurricane on anybody or
Yeah.
a bad storm, but it's good to have that type of breaking down so you can study it, analyze it, and then prevent it from happening again.
Absolutely.
And I guess with that, that's how I got into storm grade fencing. So during the hurricane, I did so many fences that were blown down from the storm.
Yep.
That I had so much anecdotal information on what it looks like when they're down.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it fall down in the first place? Was it because of the post, how it was set? And set, for people that are in the fencing business, is what was the anchor that was in the ground that held to the post. So
Mhm.
setting is usually concrete,
Mhm.
right? We all know what concrete is. But there's a way to put concrete in to make it set better or worse. There's never someone in front of them to tell them exactly how to mix it, to pour it in. The homeowners, they could actually be looking at their fence being set right in front of them and wouldn't know what to look for.
Mhm.
But whenever there's a storm, the test, that's when you separate good setting and bad setting. But by then it's too late, and you're going to have to spend a lot of money to get it fixed. So in that process, I witnessed so many poorly set fence posts that in my head, it could have survived a storm. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys, were involved in the storm, but it kind of hit in all over Houston.
Yeah.
And what was unique is that the wind came from all different directions.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was bad.
We lost our tree in our backyard. It fell over at like 6 a.m. and then the
Wow.
fence all the way up the right side of the house just fell over.
Oh
Just
my
the
gosh.
whole thing. Not even like pieces of the fence or anything. The whole
Mhm.
fence just fell down.
Wow.
So, yeah, Beryl was crazy.
It was.
It affected a lot of people.
It did, yes, including us, yeah. I was out there, and I was trying to brace my own fence, and I went and got a 2x4 that was sitting in my garage, ran back out, and braced my own fence because I'm on a corner lot. And again, like I was saying, the storms, they'll hit winds from one direction to another direction. We were fine for the first 20 minutes of the storm until it shifted directions, and then that's when I had to go save my own fence.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. Whenever you have a fence that has to be braced from all sides, it really reinforces of why you need to set the post correctly, because you don't know where the strongest point is going to be needed,
Yeah.
because you don't know where the wind's going to hit. So I started looking into ways to develop a way that would be able to withstand it better than how we're doing it all over Houston.
Mhm.
And I found out that there's a company that was based in Wyoming. And if anybody knows about Wyoming, extremely high winds.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely high winds. And so I researched how they did it. I also have a brother who has a roofing business in Dallas, Texas. Again, there's lots of wind in northern Dallas. And he was telling me that, hey brother, I'd like to support you in your fencing business, but they do fencing different here, so I don't think you're going to be able to get a lot of business from here. And I was interested, so I said, hey, well, whenever you get a chance, when you're doing a roof over there, maybe take a picture of some of the roofs out there. And so he did, and I noticed exactly how they did their fence posts, and they did them with steel.
Okay.
So I started researching, steel, and my biggest thing was no one really wanted to have a wood fence with an ugly steel post.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that's probably a bad idea. And so I'm going to keep researching to see if there's a way I can maybe, integrate that into a wood fence that actually looks pretty, that I could sell.
Yeah.
Because here, everybody loves cedar.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and cedar is extremely expensive, but people love it and they buy it because of the way it looks.
Absolutely.
So.
And people in Houston are all about the way their house looks.
Absolutely.
And, the curb appeal.
Yeah.
And that's, it's a big thing, because when you go to my end and you got to sell the house, you don't
Yes.
want an ugly steel pole sitting out of your fence. People are going to be
Absolutely.
like, why is that even there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have those HOA people who are looking for ways to
Absolutely.
not
Charge
do
you
it.
money.
Yes, absolutely. So I had to kind of look into it. So the guys in Wyoming, they found a solution, and there's a unique type of post. It's called a postmaster post,
Okay.
and it allows you to put a wooden picket on the actual steel post.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, now we're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to figure out two other things. How do I set it into the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Because here we have lots of roots, and then we also have lots of clay, and then we also have soft dirt. So you're kind of all over the map on what I'm digging into.
Absolutely.
So I needed to have some type of consistency on what I could offer everyone. And then the second thing was, how do I get a gate onto a steel post? So I figured those two things out. The best way I can explain it is using a post driver. So what's a post driver, you might ask? I didn't know either. But a post driver is a way, it uses lots of power to push down force onto the actual steel post
Mhm.
to get it driven down 3 feet so it can actually hold against itself.
Okay.
Now you don't need concrete.
Okay.
Yes, I said that. You don't need concrete.
You don't use concrete at all with your steel post.
You don't need concrete at all.
Huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
Now, I've done it without any concrete for the first time, and I was able to, utilize another post, and I added concrete into that one, and I wanted to see, after I let the concrete seal, if it'd be able to be pushed as much as the one without
Mhm.
concrete. It was exactly the same.
Huh.
So, very interesting, very
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
But once I was able to get that part figured out, I realized that I have something. Because now I don't have to mess up people's yard when they're doing the fence. You don't know how many people have told me no, or has postponed a fence job because of what they knew would happen to their lawn
Yeah.
after. They're like, let me get my sprinkler guy first, or let me get my landscape guy, 'cause I know you guys are going to leave a mess. Or let me call 811 to see what type of digging you can do and not do. It was a nightmare,
Mhm.
And then it was a nightmare for me because I can't control the weather. If it rains outside, that stops our whole process.
Yeah.
Because now it's all muddy, we have to let it dry out. Now I'm able to offer a customer actual solution of getting a beautiful fence done, keeping their yard intact,
Yeah.
and then providing them a fence that is able to survive a storm.
Okay.
And I mean, a storm that will give you 75 to 100 mile an hour winds. And I think that's pretty impressive.
Does it
Need
take less time to put up the fence with just the steel instead of with the concrete and the wood? Because
That's an excellent question. And the answer is yes.
Okay.
And time is money. I mean, for me being a business owner, I'm very interested on providing a great fence in the most efficient way.
Absolutely.
But guess what? Every homeowner has the $1 million question of how long will it take?
Yeah.
And realistic expectation, that's how I built my business, under promise, over deliver. And I'm able to do that now because I might tell someone it'll take 2 days when realistically it might take 1 day to get a whole at least 70 to 100 linear feet fence done
Absolutely.
now, which is awesome. As
Huh.
opposed to doing it the whole way, it might take 1 day just to get the post in.
Yeah.
If the weather permits, I don't run into any roots, if there aren't any other problems.
Yeah.
So yes, it's very, very time efficient, which is excellent.
Okay.
We love it, yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, one thing that was really tough was getting the objection of people who say, well, isn't it going to rust? And I don't want something unsightly rusting away
Mhm.
under the picket, which is a pretty valid claim. But I use all galvanized treated post. So
Okay.
once you galvanize steel, it doesn't rust anymore. And then we offer a 5-year warranty on every post. So if you have something, if you get a picket that's taken off and you see the post and it starts rusting or something like that, we'll actually remove the whole thing and reinstall it.
Okay.
Other than that, they're designed to last 15, 25 years.
Okay.
So do you play baseball or anything like that?
I don't, but I definitely grew up with my brothers playing baseball.
Okay, so whenever you see them playing ball, you ever see those chain link fences?
Yes.
They're huge, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one blown over?
Actually, no.
You ever seen one rusted?
I don't think so.
They're galvanized treated. They last
Okay.
20, 30 years. They're in just about every public park you can think of.
Yeah.
We're talking about the same type of steel, guys. So it's nothing to be afraid. It's just in a different shape. It's in a U shape. So if you've ever seen like the next time you see a stop sign in a neighborhood or a street sign post in a neighborhood, give a post a look and see if it's kind of in the U shape. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So it's been in the industry for years. It's just being used in a different way.
Okay.
So a lot of people are sleeping on it, and that's great here in
Yeah.
Houston. But it's the benefits. We definitely need it here. So if I'm the one to bring it to a market here in Houston, I'm glad.
Absolutely.
So
how do your customers react when you tell them, the different options?
a lot of times their biggest thing is how much. Reason being is because they're looking at something look great. And I say that because I'm big on uniformity. Like my background is math and numbers.
Yeah.
And I like the math and numbers because there's an exact science to it. When you translate that over to fencing, that was the number one thing I hated about it, because I was promising a product that I couldn't guarantee that it would look exactly plumb or exactly straight. But now I took off the what's the word I'm looking for? Non-engineered part, which
Okay.
is a 4x4 wood post,
Yep.
and I'm replacing it with an engineered part, steel, that's straight and true. So with that backing, now I'm able to level my 2x4s onto a post, making the square in. So now that makes your fence look perfect,
Okay.
picture perfect. And with that, customers are like, "Wow, that looks amazing. How can I get mine like that? And how much can I afford it?"
Yeah.
And we're very affordable. One thing, I'm a family man, so I understand that budget is something that everybody has on the top of their plate, and we have an option for everyone. So you just kind of tell me what is the need that you have, what type of budget do you want to throw at solving that need, and then let me do the work.
Okay.
Now, you'll have a couple of options. If the last option is the number one best recommended option, but it's not affordable, we have another option that is affordable, but it'll still be really close to solving the problem for you.
Okay. So what's the price difference look like between like a regular fence and a fence that's made with the steel?
Okay, so if you have a regular fence, that entails us using the actual 4x4 wood post, and we do not add a rot board on the very bottom. So what that's going to do, that's going to expose your fence to whenever your landscaper trims your lawn, how it hits
Yes.
the bottom of your fence, it's going to start chipping away at the actual picket.
Okay.
When that picket goes away, you have to do what? Replace it, right? Yeah. Or if you have like a slope down in your yard, now the water is actually sitting there longer than it should, so that wood is going to start soaking up that water. It's going to be weak and it's going to start rotting away.
Okay.
So that first option is our starting fence option. So if you step up to that, now we're providing the same wood post with a rock board. So that's usually about $500 to $1,000 more.
Okay.
And it's going to depend on the linear foot, how long we have to do it. But if you say yes to that rock board option, keep in mind that's going to go all along your whole fence. So it's usually just the material that's entailed in getting that part done. Now the last option, and what I always suggest, and that's our signature fence, is a storm graded post, a rot board on the bottom of it to protect the pickets, and that is going to be about $1,400 to $1,800
Okay.
in addition. So a pretty big step up.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about long-term benefits, and to me, if you're asking me for $1,000 of my money, I'm going to want to know what that $1,000 is going to do.
Absolutely.
And if you're telling me it's going to do nothing but look good for about 5 years, I want to know what's the next option. And if you're telling me it's going to be another $1,400 to make that look good, and you won't need any more money for 15 years, I'm in.
So what you said the life difference for like the steel is 15 years, and then for a regular wood fence is about 5
to 7 years.
5
now,
to 7 years.
Because again, it's not an engineered product; it's wood,
Yeah.
so it's susceptible to storms. It's susceptible to how much it rains. It's susceptible to if your kid or your dog has, pushed on it, hit on it, all
Yeah.
those things, and it's going to greatly shorten life. It's also going to depend on how it was installed. So those things you can't control as a homeowner. You just trust that the technician that you hired knew how to do it.
Absolutely.
But they're probably going to take some shortcuts, and that's going to seriously degrade the life of the fence.
Okay.
So if you get a fence set correctly, the concrete is designed to keep the water off of the post.
All right.
That's never done, but if it was done, that should last about 10 years. But if it's not done correctly, then that post is going to not last, because now you've probably seen a concrete post and you see a pool of water inside where the concrete is. It's touching the wood the whole time.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that's definitely going to last maybe about 7-8 years. Steel, I say 15 years, but I mean it could last 20-25 years. I mean, you're probably going to sell the house 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
before the fence fails you. You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end, so I have a couple questions for
Sure.
you. So what is the hardest part of your business?
The hardest part of my business, I would say, is gathering exposure to for people to actually see the process. It's really hard to kind of explain everything that we do, but once you actually see it in action, you're actually seeing how much force it takes to drive those posts in, and then you're actually seeing the uniformity of the structure before we put the pickets up. That's usually the hardest part. So I'd like to invite people to see that. Another thing is to duplicate a storm. Most customers, again, they're paying for something that's intangible. Maybe an airboat, something that I'm trying to get to turn on and actually blow 75 to 100 mile an hour wind gusts, so you can actually see the fence in action doing what it's supposed to do. Maybe we'll get that on video, and that would definitely help out a lot.
I bet you if you got with one of the universities in the area, they could help you do something like that, do like a study on it.
That would be great.
That would be cool.
Yes.
Okay, and then the last thing is, if you could give advice to the next business owner that enters this room, which it's Trace,
Okay.
is going to be the next one.
Oh, wow.
What would you say to them?
I would say that you have to be able to plan your success. The only reason I believe I've had success is because I've eaten, drank, and slept what I wanted to do the next day. And I've trusted the process. And that's something that I would suggest to anybody that's going to go along this journey. You have to trust the process, and you have to know that you may not have the answer right now, but if you stick along that path, that answer will find you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, I'm going to jump on right here and see who all's watching, and we're going to grab names and put them in a hat, and then Dane is going to post on his Facebook
Curb of Texas.
the winner of the contest. So let's see. If you're in the chat, you can just go ahead and throw your name in there, and I will write it down.
So what this is basically is anybody who has an existing fence right now that you would think would benefit from a storm grading fence, go ahead and chime in, put your name in here, and we'll reach out and upgrade that current fence to a storm grade, storm type fence at no charge to you. Complimentary from Curb of Texas.
Let's see.
And when the next storm hits, hey, they'll come to your house.
So it says we have 5 viewers, but I'm not seeing anything yet from anybody. Let's see.
All right.
We might have to have them comment on Facebook to see if it'll do it. Let's see. Well, is there anything else you want to chat about while I do this?
Just normally give customers a chance to know what to expect whenever they're looking for a quote. I think you should always be aware of asking how many rails are going to be on your fence, and also asking them, do they supply a rock board, and ask them how do they secure the fence. Some people will use regular screws, and those regular screws will actually bleed out on the cedar post. So it's always good to use stainless steel or treated fasteners. That's something that a homeowner should know. Also, 2 or 3 rails is a big difference. I don't know if you've ever seen a fence that kind of bows in. That bowing in is because it doesn't have an additional support in the middle of the fence. So we use 3 rails, and that's something that a homeowner would be interested in asking, because that will definitely affect the price.
Yeah. What I think I'm gonna have you do is, if you'll go and post on Facebook that you watched the live, and we will go from there, because it's just not letting me see who's watching right now.
Okay.
So
No
just
problem.
do that, and then we will announce the winner soon. Other than that, that's the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for coming
having me.
on. Yeah. It was fun. I learned a lot. I don't know. I'm sure they did too. Yeah, I'm excited for the next time you come on. So usually what I do is in about a year, I have people come back
Okay.
and tell us what's going on, and how your business is going, and how this venture has worked out for you. So maybe we'll work on getting that scheduled so you can come back and let us know.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out Curb Appeal of Texas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. Have a good day.